knew exactly that I've done something bad, and I kind of kept rolling, for a while, trying to camo it, because of all the cameras and all that kind of stuff, and I wasn't sure how bad it was, but obviously it was very bad, and yeah, it's just a very unfortunate freak thing.
Talk to me about your opponent, obviously this weekend, Alan Jouban, obviously a guy who's loves to stand, very good striker. Your ground game is excellent, your striking's ever improving. Is that somewhere you're going to be comfortable with him standing on the feet on Saturday night?
Yeah, I believe so. You can find my shots as well as my takedowns or my submissions. I'm not one that is desperate to take the fight to the ground or do this or that. I'll look at my opponent and I'll see the opportunities wherever they are. That's always been my style. And a lot of the times, the fight will end up on the ground, and I seem to be able to get the better of the ground exchanges quickly. We'll see. We'll see what happens on Saturday.
Is that what you see? Do you envisage this? You take him to the ground, transitioning on him, and ultimately submitting.
I see a lot of things. I picture a lot of different scenarios. That definitely being one of them.
Gunnar, it's always a pleasure. Fight up to Ford on Saturday night. Appreciate the time. Cheers, man.
Like when you're training for a fight, you're not training to get it finished. You're not trying to get this.
Hey Gunnar, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Good.
So Gunnar, as you mentioned before, you had the setback in the lead up to your last fight. Mentally, what did it take for you to kind of get over being so close to a fight and then having to pull out just days before the event itself?
Yeah, it was a nasty one, to be honest, because it was going to be a good night, like fighting again in Ireland, Belfast, my second time in the UFC in Ireland, headlining that event. I was really looking forward to it, and against a good opponent. I was ready to go, and then something like that happens, and it was just like so ridiculous to me, the way it happened, and because we were just like at this, open workout thing for the UFC, and I was going really slow and maybe going even too slow.
Same feeling as when you walk out Fight Night.
And Kenny's chunky ass just landed on my ankle. But yeah, it was my fault 100%. It is what it is, I'm over it now, and we did the right thing, as I said, and I'm here now and I'm hungry.
Well, your next opponent, Alan Jouban, he's coming off a really big win against Parry. For you, do you still think, or do you think you'll be his toughest opponent to date?
Be his toughest opponent?
Yeah.
He actually started with boxing.
I do believe so, yeah.
And people go again have mentioned it's potentially being a clash of styles, but people forget your background as a martial artist in general, and at times seemingly forget about your striking prowess. Do you think it's your all-round game as a mixed martial artist that will ultimately get you the victory on Saturday night?
Yeah, I do believe my all-around game makes me the fighter I am. If I was only as good on the ground as I am, I wouldn't be the fighter that I am. I wouldn't be here. It's it's not always what you see is what is. What makes the fighter. You see certain things, but there's a lot of other things that you don't see. Even if we're just talking about ground game, you see a lot of the movement and you can see why he's good, but then there's a ton of stuff there that you never see. You can only feel that. So I started off as a striker. I was a karate guy and we started doing kickboxing and a little bit of that. And first, then when I went on to the ground with some of the guys, I was getting manhandled in the beginning. I didn't know what I was doing. So that's when I got into it. And here we are today. I really enjoy striking as well. I do believe I can I can work a lot more with that and show people a lot more striking.
Because a lot of people, when they think of Gunnar Nelson, they think of a grappling prodigy, you know, your history of Renzo Gracie, etc., etc. But people seemingly forget, you know, even in your stance, how you move, you know, you can see your base is a karate base, and you know that striking proficiency, for example, has seen you stop Brandon Thatch, for example. Again, sorry to kind of go over it again. Do you feel, you know, ideally, how would you want to see the end of the fight come about, on the ground or standing?
You know, when I started like doing MMA, and I've been doing like maybe 1 or 2 fights, I realized that the most efficient way to beat somebody is to get on top. You know, is to, you know, you get maybe 1, 2 shots in, and then you get on top. Why would you let him back up? There's no reason to let him back up, because then he can square up with you. You get these 1, 2 exchanges, and then what? You're even again. If you get on top, you're on top. You know. There's no reason to let him back up. So just in general, I think that's the most efficient style to have, you know. And if I get somebody down, I'm not gonna let him back up.
How did you get on this card? Then it seemed like the card was announced, and then you kind of snuck on this card at the end.
Yeah, we were pushing it for a while, you know. It wasn't gonna happen. They said it was full, and they weren't gonna let us on. And it was already, you know, it was already stacked and all that. And then finally, they let us in. You know, we had a lot of opponents. You know, it was like 5 opponents in the mix, or like they talked about 5 different opponents, and he couldn't fight, he couldn't fight, and then Alan stepped up.